So welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 4, doing another seasonal championship. This time it's Sinatra style. Not quite sure what the connection is to Frank Sinatra, but we are in A-class classic races from 50s, 60s. Yeah, should be quite fun. Hopefully we'll do better than we did in the last championship, where we were quite struggling in the off-road buggies for whatever reason. So yeah, hopefully these classic races will be a little bit more on our side. Right, let's see what we're going to be dealing with, which races.
Great to see you've signed up to another autumn championship. I'll try and find time in my schedule to come watch you drive.
No idea why the Lola is in the picture there, because it's not an A-class car, but yeah, as you can see we've got plenty to choose from. An Alfa Romeo, we've got 3 Ferraris, a couple of Fords, a Maserati, a Mercedes-Benz, and a pair of Porsches. I think we'll actually go for the yeah, that's 6.9 acceleration. I think that's actually the joint second fastest car here, and I don't think we've actually taken it out on a episode before, so yeah, we'll try out this Porsche 906 Carrera 6. As you can see, it's got 210 horsepower, doesn't even weigh 1400 pounds, and yeah, has fairly good acceleration, pretty good handling. The braking isn't the best, but that's to be expected from a car from the 60s, and yeah, the top speed is fairly good, so let's see what it can do. I've not really driven this car all that much, outside of I think of a review that we did, and maybe on how fast will it go, but yeah, how fast will it go is obviously on that series. Obviously this car isn't going to be stock, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this can do while stock and racing. I highly doubt I've actually done any racing in this car in its stock version. Yes, one of a series of successful Porsche race cars from the 60s, which they'd obviously take on into the 70s as well. Guarantee it's not the most well-known car here though. Probably be the Ford GT40 there. One that's up front as well. Even though it's not got as much in the way of power as that GT40, we do have a lot less in the way of weight. But we're already doing better than we did in the last championship in that first race. High revving flat 6 engine. Yeah, the handling is really rather good. Absolutely no body roll. It's really nice and flat and crisp. Braking is really the only letdown on this car. Keeping up with the Ford GT40 there. That is a Mark 1 version. I think we passed the later version of the GT40 earlier in the race. That was a bit of a mistake hitting that pole there. We're going to set off a second on this race, but that is still a solid start to this championship. it's that Ford that we're gonna have to worry about in future races. But yeah, that's still a solid start, solid 16 points. We weren't all that far behind, only just over a second. Did have the better lap, but we just really couldn't keep up with that Ford, because I think in terms of what it has going in terms of power is a lot better than what we have. And we didn't actually pass a later version of the GT40. Every one of them has been the 1964 Mark 1. But nonetheless, let's get on to the next race and see what we can do in that one. Right, so that's a fairly reasonable start to the championship, but obviously we only came second and not first, which is where we'd prefer to be. So yeah, since we got beaten by the Ford GT40, I think it's only right that we get in the Ford GT40. I think we'll go for the original Mark 1 rather than the Mark 2. I know the Mark 2 is technically better in terms of handling and braking, as well as top speed, but the acceleration isn't quite as good, and yeah, I think this will be easier to manage just because it's got less power and less weight as well. So yeah, we'll go for the GT40 Mark 1, see what it can do. Hopefully we get to use the extra speed in this over the Porsche. As you can see, I've got it in the Gulf livery, just because it looks really iconic in this car, in this colour livery, more than just a normal paint job. So glad they put this version of the GT40 in this game, because while the Mark II is pretty damn good, I on the whole prefer this version of the GT40. I like the fact it's lighter and a little bit more manageable with its power. Plus on the whole, and I know this doesn't matter in a racing car, but on the whole I do think this is the better looking car. Certainly better brakes on this than the Porsche as well, which is going to be helpful, since this seems to be the faster race than last time. Two Porsches in front of us and then another two Fords as well. So it's a Ford Porsche domination here. No, it's a Ford domination because now the top three are Fords. I like the paint job that they've got going on as well. It reminds me of the early to mid 2000s Ford GT, but the modded version, which had no roof and more power. Again, it slips my mind what the name of the car is, but you know which one I mean. It's a nice job on that paint job front there. Those colours do not make them faster. Oh dear, kind of screwed that up there. Oh, damn it. We'll get a better driving line than that. I have to rewind even further then. Thought that would have been enough, evidently not. Well, that wasn't even any real better, was it? Guess that's just a corner I'll never get a hang of. Better on the brakes there. Yeah, these cars aren't the easiest of things to drive. Racing cars are typically not my favourite thing to drive anyway. But we just about nabbed a win there. But yeah, it seems like the GT40 is the king of this championship, because as you can see, 3 of us in GT40s are in the top 3, and obviously GT40 won the previous race. But those 20 points are going to go in real handy there, so we're now matching the previous leader with 36. Oh no, that wasn't the previous leader, they'd have been on... How did they get on... I have no idea. Oh yeah, because they would have got 60, yeah. So yeah, they were the previous race leader in the previous race, because they would have got 20 points and now they got 16. I got 20 points here and 16 in the previous race, so now we're both equal on 36. So yeah, that's the person we're going to have to beat in the next race. So yeah, let's get there and see what happens. Right, so we've gone with Porsche and Ford in the previous 2 races, 2 of the biggest names in the 60s for racing. So it would be probably rather illogical to not go for Ferrari, which were also one of the big names in the 60s. Though which of the 3 I am not quite sure. I think we should go for the 330 P4 to be honest, since we've been in the GT40, we should also go in the car that it was competing alongside at Le Mans, but this was obviously beaten by the GT40, but it's still got a lot of positives going for it, acceleration being one of them. Handling and braking is also fairly good, and it has a hell of a lot of power as well, so yeah, it's probably going to be a tricky car, but I want to go for it nonetheless. I say it's going to be a tricky car because it has got 450 horsepower, while weighing pretty much the same as the GT40 that we're in, which had 60 horsepower less. So yeah, going to be tricky, and it is probably the most race-orientated version of a car that we've had on this series so far, on this episode even so far. This is not a road car in any regard, as at least you could see the Porsche or the Ford on the road. Yeah, certainly got the acceleration. If you've seen the film Le Mans 66, you'll probably have seen this car, as that is predominantly featured in that film, and yeah, it is a cracking film in its own right. Easily one of my favourites of the previous years. We should swallow up the GT40 on this straight. Or not. Oh dear. Turned in a little too soon and hit the wall, which is not helpful. This is certainly a more lively vehicle than the GT40. You certainly feel more on the edge than I did with that Ford. Certainly a lot easier to get the rear end sliding around, possibly because of all that extra power. Why we keep sliding out to the right there when we come under braking, but it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, this is definitely a tricky car. Does not help that the road is quite damp in areas. Just have to hope that whoever's in front was far behind in points in the previous 2 races. Yeah, definitely a far trickier vehicle there to drive. I guess it's more suited to a circuit like Le Mans than it would ever be here. As you can see, we didn't even get the best of that. We weren't even under a minute. But does we? Yeah, we do have enough points, thankfully. Yeah, not quite as successful as previous championships, but certainly better than the off-road buggy one. 2 second place positions and a first place is enough to secure the championship. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And yeah, the cars that we used were varied as well in different kind of engines, different kinds of power outputs, different kind of weights. Ford and the Ferrari there being the only ones that were similar in terms of weight, but even then the power was different, and the way they drove was certainly a lot different as well. So yeah, nice variety of classic races to choose from in this championship. Obviously there's numerous more to choose from in A class, so yeah, get out there and try this championship out if you want, especially since if you want to try out some cars that you might want to otherwise race in other races, either online or on the game itself. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.